What up, guys? It's been a long time since I've been live on YouTube. I've been busy going live with my students in my courses. We've been having a great time. Thank you to all my students for having a good time with me. And tonight, if you guys don't know, Nipsey Hussle was tragically murdered yesterday. It's very, very sad. If you guys don't know who Nipsey Hussle is, look it up. He's an incredible rapper, but more than that, he's an incredible humanitarian in that he stood for Black power and for coming up and for being your best self. And his message was deep and meaningful, and his impact in terms of the programs he was running out and the stuff he was doing. And I'm saddened by his passing because he was one of the few people who I felt was not afraid to blaze his own path and to do his own thing and to follow his heart and do what was right in his heart. And so tonight, this is, his death at 33, which is around my age, got me thinking about my own mortality and how short our lives are. And for you guys, I just want to have a discussion about, are you using your life to the max? Are you doing the most you can with your life? Are you living your best life? Are you happy with where you're at right now? And for you guys who are on here, who's saying what up? Killer Meister, Devin, Daniel, what's going on? I think it's interesting. Does anybody ever think about their own mortality? Does anybody think about how short their life is and how one day their life's going to be over and it's going to be a blink of an eye? And I think being a doctor, one of the things that I've realized is that no death is the right time. And constantly you have to talk to people's families about their death and about their frail condition and whatever it might be. And what's so interesting is that never have I ever heard someone say, oh, you know what? We were expecting this. We were ready for them to die. It's always, oh my gosh, this is so unexpected. Or, oh my gosh, we just thought we had a little bit longer. Or, oh, we just wish we had more time. And so it gets you to thinking about how you use your own time. And I think, with his passing yesterday, it reminded me to get on the grind, to stay on the grind to what I do. And people trip off the fact that I go days sometimes without sleeping because I be putting in work, working late at night, putting stuff together for you guys, right? Like I just got off a shift. In the last 4 days, I've worked 2 24s and a late shift today. So I've worked like 60 plus hours in the last 3 days. And here I am. You guys can see how tired I look, right? And how beat up I look. But I'm here because this is what I feel like I'm destined to do, what I'm passionate about, and what I want to live my life as, if that makes sense to you guys. And I just want to I want to use Nipsey Hussle as an example that you guys need to be living your best life at all times because you never know when your time is up. And for you people as pre-meds, as students, as young people, it's easy to say, oh, I'm too busy to make an impact, or I'm too low on the totem pole to make an impact. Right? And we think those things like, oh, I'm just a college student. Like, what can I do to make a difference? And what I would encourage you guys to understand, this is like from an old man to you young people, this is one of the lessons I wish I knew even earlier on in my career, is that you will never be more free. You will never have more time than you have right now in this moment. I know you feel busy, but you will never have more time and less responsibility and less real obligations than you do right now. And so because your obligations are low, because your responsibilities are low, you have the opportunity right now to be making strides towards making a difference and making an impact. And even if it's a small impact, it's some impact. And it's more impact than some people out there make their whole lives, right? You see people out here, influencers, who are sharing other people's content, who are commenting on other people's lives, but don't live their own life, right? The internet trolls, the forum trolls, and all these people. And for you guys, don't let that be you. Make a difference, make an impact, and make your life what it wants to be, right? It's too short to be miserable for forever. Live your passion. And for me, my passion is helping students, and I encourage you guys to do the same, right? And someone posted a long comment. Let me read it. Nikki says, I'm hurt by his passing. He was really growing and evolving as a person. Absolutely. And I think that's something we can learn from Nipsey Hussle too, right? Because how many of you guys, I feel like in our society, we tend to judge people like who you was is who you always going to be or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like one act defines you. right? And some of you guys live that way where you feel like, oh, I did this or this happened to me and I let it define my whole life. And as people, we evolve. And I'm sure some of you guys can relate to some of my older people. We all do dumb stuff when we're young. We all do stuff that we blatantly don't agree with later on, right? Like maybe we have a questionable tweet or a questionable post, or we said something crazy, or we did something crazy in our younger years that we would never do at this point as we matured. And life is all about maturing, is all about aging, is all about growing, is all about ripening. And we have to recognize that and not be beholden to past events and past things we've done and let that label us and let other people label us for those things. Because how many of you guys have people in your life, whether it's family or your friends or people who have known you, who hold something over your head that happened forever ago, right? When you're like, oh, I'm going to do something great. And they're like, well, remember that one time you were blah, 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 and they trash you about that? Who has that happen to them? Right? Who has people in their lives that try to frame you and pin you in to being that same person you always used to be, right? Like when you say, listen, this time is going to be different. This semester, this year, this time going back to school, I'm going to make it happen. I'm going to succeed. I'm going to work hard. I'm going to get the A's. And people are like, oh, you can't get A's. You've never gotten A's in your life, right? Oh, you can't do better on the MCAT. You failed it once. You failed it twice. You can't do good on the MCAT. And people want to poo-poo your dreams and fame you in this lens. And it's like, yeah, Nipsey Hussle was a gangbanger, but he was trying to make strides and differences, right? He was a Crip, which wears blue, but he wears red every time you see him because he wanted to show it wasn't about that anymore. It was about more than that. It was about unity. It was about people coming together. Do you know what I'm saying? So you guys, don't be afraid to evolve and shed that skin of the old you and find that new you to get at it. You know what I'm saying? And also, while we're talking about this, I posted on my Instagram today that if someone tagged their 2 buddies and liked the post, that they could win my How to Dominate the Medical School interview course. And so that winner is Mr. Villaways. And so I will send you a message right now on Instagram so you can get your free course. So thank you so much for reading the post all the way to the end and then following that up. Right? So some of you guys want to learn free stuff, follow me on social media, interact with me on social media, because I like to hear from you guys. All right? So that's the first thing, is don't let past things frame you forever. The other thing I really liked about Nipsey Hussle is that he always talked about how I always talk about, right? There's no excuse, just dominate, but he was always talking about how he would swing for the fences, he would shoot for the moon, and that things would always come up roses, and he wouldn't settle. And I feel like, and we were talking about this on my study boot camp on Sunday, I meet with the students who are in my study course every Sunday, and we talk about studying. And it was so interesting. I am very different from everybody else, right? We acknowledge this. My YouTube channel is entirely different from other people's YouTube channels. It's not about entertainment, it's about education, right? It's about actually making you achieve something. And so what's so interesting is that because I'm so contrarian and I come with so much original content, original thoughts, original approaches to things, people have a tough time adjusting to do what I tell them to do because they get all the peer pressure from everyone else around them trying to tell them to do the same old stuff that had them being the old you. You guys know what I'm talking about? Like where you try to make a change and people try to tell you, oh, stop doing that, do this. This is what everybody's doing. And they try to get you to follow along with that crowd. If you know what I'm talking about, type yes in the box or like the video, do something right now. If you know what I'm talking about, where you try to be a different you and people try to pull you into the habits that everyone else is doing and the things that everyone else is doing. And, oh, don't read the book. Like, and this is the example I had on Sunday, was that one of my students, I was like, wait, what are these notes about? These notes look very superficial. It's not what we teach. And the student was like, oh, well, everyone said that this teacher tests straight off their slides, so I shouldn't read the book. And how many of you guys have heard that before, right? Oh no, don't worry about the book. The teacher, it's straight from the slides. You'll be good. Just look at the slides. And that kind of rhetoric is what everyone hears and what everyone does, and at least to these mediocre students. And what I tried to explain on Sunday, and I'll explain to you guys now, is that is a settler's mindset. That is saying it's okay to be just good enough or to possibly, perchance, get things right. And what I teach my students is we don't settle, we shoot for the moon. So what we do is we attack the book to have deeper understanding and to work on that skill. Because many of you guys don't know how to break down a textbook. Many of you guys don't know how to make your own high yield notes. Many of you guys struggle with that. And you struggle with it so you don't ever do it. And so you continue to struggle with it. You don't want to shoot for the moon. You just settle, oh, I'll just read the PowerPoint slides and hope it's all good. See, Charles, what up? Right? And you don't recognize that's the settler's mindset. That's the mediocre mindset. That's the average mindset. And I had to yell at this student, and I yell at my students all day, every day. I yell at them all the time. And I had to yell at this student and say, listen, you have to make a decision. And I said, everyone out here got to make a vow right now. I said, you guys should definitely consume all the information in the world you can. Read, take courses, be knowledgeable. But at the same time, everything you read or you see, whatever you do, if anyone ever says anything contrary to what I said, ignore that person and listen to me. Right? And that sounds crazy, but I only talk about what I know and what I've researched and what I'm deep in and what is factual. It's not opinions, it's facts. And so if I tell you this is the way it needs to be done, that's the way it needs to be done. That's law, that's rule. And so for you guys out here, you have to decide if you want to be mediocre or if you want to do something different, do something unique, not what everyone else was doing, right? Do what you do, not what everybody else does. And that will separate you. And that's, so many people are so scared, and this is the other part I was talking about with Nipsey Hussle, is that if people probably don't know this, right? So if you don't really follow rap, so most of the artists you know are signed to a major record label, right? Nipsey Hussle was independent for like a decade before he signed with a major label. And he actually signed with Def Jam, another label, like years ago, and then backed out of the deal because he couldn't own his own masters, because he wanted to own his own product and be in charge and do it his way and make sure things were right and on his terms that he felt comfortable. And so often, right, people are scared in the music business or wherever it might be to go out on a limb and stand up for what they believe in, right? That's why all this Harvey Weinstein and all this Hollywood stuff happens, because people are scared to tattletale, right? To tell the truth. Hey, he is a serial predator, because they fear that the system will lock them out. And what I would encourage you guys to do is be strong enough to say, listen, I don't need the acceptance of people. I don't need people to say I'm doing the right thing. I don't need people to bring me in and be part of something. I'm brave enough, I'm confident enough, I'm strong enough, I believe in myself enough to say I can be alone. I can walk this path, I can walk the right path alone until I meet someone else who's on that right path. Y'all know what I'm saying? But some of you guys, and this is important, listen, some of you guys are walking on the wrong path, on a road you know is leading you to failure and surefire doom, and you do it knowingly. Why? Because there's company on that road. Hear what I say. Hear what I say. Do you guys hear what I'm saying right now? Some of you guys are on a path that you know is not going to lead you to college success, not going to lead you to medical school success, not going to lead you to your goals. Yet you walk that path happily because there's people on that path to walk with. Because you're too scared, right? You're too insecure to walk the right path alone. Think about that. Look at the followers we have in this society, right? Everybody hops on a hashtag. Make your own hashtag. Be your own person. But that's not fun, right? It's not fun to be alone. It's not fun. But the real meaning and the real joy of life comes from living your life the way you want to live it. And so people trip off of me like, I've been booed, I've been yelled at, I've had people say I hate you. It phases me not. Because I roll, Rajiv, congratulations, getting accepted to school, right? I walk my own path, I stand on my own 2 feet, as Julian just said. I'm on my own 2 feet, and I can be proud of that. I don't have to beg anybody for crumbs. I don't need their company. I don't need their approval, because I know I'm on the right path. I know I'm doing the right thing. I know I'm living my mission. And you guys have to have that same, if you guys want to succeed, you have to have that same philosophy. If you want to be great, if you want to be the standout. I mean, even look at sports, right? So we can talk about some sports. Brent's on here. He's my fellow Laker fan. It's tough right now. But if you look, right, and this is a perfect example. LeBron is, right, he's the greatest player of his generation, right? He's the greatest player of his generation. And even he has gotten caught up in peer pressure. Everybody told him he'd come out to LA and be a Hollywood celebrity. And this guy's got 15 shows a week. Yet, I see him lollygagging on the court, not chasing loose balls. I ain't seen a guy play defense all season. And it is what it is, but that's a peer pressure mentality of, oh, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And if you look at the truly great people in this world, they're not afraid to turn stuff down to go on their own. If you look at Kobe, right? Everybody said, oh, Kobe's a jerk. Kobe's arrogant. Kobe's into himself. Kobe played hard every game. Kobe's bringing it, giving you all he got. It's Mamba mentality, right? That's a brand, right? Because everybody understands that Kobe will cut your throat out in a second because he's okay walking alone, being that leader. Look at Michael Jordan, who punched out a teammate because the teammate wasn't living up to his standard. You can't be afraid. You got to be a trailblazer, right? If you want to discover something new, you got to be that trailblazer. But if you want to be like everybody else, you can sit back and you guys can him-ha and celebrate your mediocrity, or you can say, you know what? I'm going to break free from this path. I'm going to go do me. Does that make sense to everybody? If that makes sense to you right now, like the video, comment right now. Right? Don't be afraid to be independent. Don't be afraid to be you, to go after it. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Right? Don't be afraid to say, listen, I don't know. Help me. I know it's uncomfortable because everybody wants to act like they know everything. But every time I go out and talk to students, there's a bunch of dumbass students sitting around. And they're dumb, and I can say this because it's not like they're intellectually inept. It's because they choose to be ignorant. They choose not to get informed because they're too cool. They're too cool. They feel too attached to the group to break away and admit, shoot, I don't know. I don't know. They'd rather sit there and be ignorant and act like they're in the know than to admit what's up and get help. Right? Does that make sense? So the message for the day, guys, is recognize you have one life to live. Are you doing everything you can every single day to make a difference and to be your best self and to help others be their best and to make this world a better place? And are you willing to step out on your own and follow your right path? Are you willing to go where it's uncomfortable, where other people don't want to go? It's a very simple message today. But does that make sense to everybody? Does that make sense? It's uncomfortable to be a leader, but sometimes you got to be that leader, right? All right, Alejandra got her vision board set. Nice. All right, guys. Kipton, what up? Everyone have a good night. I just wanted to get on here and say hello. If you guys don't know, I have a webinar tomorrow night with SNMA. I'll put the link here in the box, but I got a free webinar talking about conferences and networking tomorrow night. And then I have a conference on Friday. I'm doing a keynote on Friday in Walnut, California. It's a free event. It's talking about physician suicide and training and what it's like in burnout and how to beat burnout for real, and the real causes of burnout that nobody wants to talk about in medicine. So check that out. It'll be on my social media. I'll be posting it on Friday. Yeah. So everyone have a good night. Okay? Everyone, have a good night. And I will see you when I see you, hopefully tomorrow night on the webinar. Later, guys.